Hello and welcome to Zenden, a safe space to calm your mind and body. Today we're going to be doing a 10-minute yoga class for hips. So I've been sitting a lot recently and I've been getting sore hips and a sore lower back. So this class is for you if you're feeling the same way. So we're going to get straight into it and start off in tabletop position. So if you bring your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, we're going to run through 3 cat-cow. So we start off with a flat back, and on the inhale you'd start to drop your belly and lift your gaze up to the sky. And on the exhale, round your spine and look down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Back to a neutral spine, and from here we're going to bring the right foot to the outside of the right hip, and so you might want to keep your hands on the mat. I know some people like to stay still, other people might like to gently bounce up and down. If you have a block and you want to use it here, you can also use that to lift your hands a little bit higher. There's obviously 3 levels with a block, so you can choose which level works best for you. Or the other option is to press your hands onto your knee and press back up so your body is upright. And again, you can either stay still or you can start to bounce up and down gently. And this is going to be stretching your left hip. So focusing on the breath here as well, on your inhales and exhales, making sure you breathe. I know a lot of people during yoga tend to hold their breath. I'm also one of those people. So I need to remind myself to breathe sometimes. When we feel ready, bring the hands back down to the mat and bring the right foot back. And we're going to do the same with the left side. So bring your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Again, you can keep your hands on the floor if that's something you want to do. Otherwise, you can use the block, like I was saying, on the right side. There are 3 different settings. Or you can press on your left knee and press up so that your body is upright. And again, you can either stay still or you can gently bounce up and down to stretch that right hip there. So make sure that while you're practicing yoga, you're not doing anything that feels painful or that hurts. And also focus on your breathing, so your inhales and exhales. And just stretching that right hip. And when we feel ready, hands come back down to the mat. Left foot comes back. And we're going to press up into a plank position. So tuck your toes under and lift your knees so that your body is flat. And from here we can bring the right knee to the left elbow and back into plank. Left knee to right elbow and back into plank. Let's do that 2 more times. So right knee, left elbow and back. Left knee, right elbow and back. Last time. And back. From here, knees come back down. We're going to bring our big toes into touch. Our knees come out to the sides of the mat. And we're going to press back into a child's pose. So keep your arms extended in front of you and your forehead comes down to the mat and your tummy and your chest lower down to the floor. This is going to stretch your lower back and hopefully relieve some of that tension that you might be feeling. From here we're going to press back up and we're going to move into Pigeon Pose. So on the right hand side, if you bring your right knee behind your right hand and your right ankle comes behind your left hand, and start to shimmy your way down so that you come into a Pigeon Pose. You want to make sure that you are pretty central, you're not leaning too far to one side or the other. You can use a block here if you want to lean your forearms on the block. The other option is to come down onto the floor, onto the mat. You can also use a block if you want to rest your forehead. That's also quite nice in Pigeon Pose. Otherwise you can bring your forehead to the mat. So there's lots of different options here. And just finding what feels best for you today. And again, this might change from day to day, and that's absolutely okay. Just finding what feels best today. So this is going to be stretching your right hip, the outside of your right hip, and also lengthening the front of your left hip. So you're doing several things here, and actually in Pigeon Pose, I like to gently rock from side to side. I know a lot of people don't do this, but this feels good to me, so you might want to try it. If it feels good, you can carry on. If not, that's fine, you can stay still. But this is a great pose if you feel like you have tight hips. When we feel ready, let's press back up. Ooh. And you might want to move that right hip, so I like to kind of swing it forwards and backwards. Find some movement in that hip. And we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So bring your left knee behind your left hand and your left ankle behind your right hand. Shimmy on back into Pigeon Pose. Again, you can use the block to lean your forearms. Otherwise you can bring your forearms to the mat. You can rest your forehead on a block, which is what I'm going to do. Otherwise you can bring your forehead down to the floor maybe. There's lots of different options like I said. And it's all about finding what feels good for your body. Remembering to breathe as we practice yoga. Again, I'm swaying from side to side because that's what feels good to me. And when we feel ready, we can start to press back up again. Again, you might want to find some movement in that left leg. I swing my leg forwards and backwards. You might want to bring your leg out to the side. Either way is perfect. And we're going to come back down to a seated position and move into Badakanasana. This is literally one of my favourite poses. I do it in every class, I think. So what we do is bring the soles of our feet together, and you can either hold on to your feet, your shins or your knees, and with a nice straight spine start to lean forwards. So stretching the hips open, leaning forwards and really opening those hip joints. Something I like to do in this pose is to bring my elbows onto my knees and almost press my knees down as I'm leaning forwards. It helps me get a deeper stretch. Now this might not feel good for you, so you might want to try it, but honestly do what feels best for you in your body in this moment. Perfect. We're going to lay down on the mat. And I want us to work through a happy baby. So for happy baby, what I like to do is you can either hold on to the back of your knees, the back of your legs, maybe the front of your knees, or otherwise hold on to the outsides of your feet. And you can bend your elbows and bring your knees towards the floor. Now what this does is it stretches your hips again, it opens up your hips, and it also releases any tension in your lower back that you might be experiencing. We can also sway from side to side if that feels good. Give yourself a bit of a back massage. Again, remembering to breathe. And we're going to bring our feet back down to the floor and move into Shavasana. So you can extend your legs out in front of you. You might want to have your hands either side of you, or otherwise I like to place my hands on my tummy. It just feels more comfortable for me, for my elbows and my shoulders. And we're going to take a couple of moments to rest in Shavasana. So we've obviously done a couple of poses there to work on our hips. So maybe just pay attention to your hips and bring your attention to your hips, noticing how they feel. And from here we're going to slowly bring our attention away from the hips, moving up the body and down the legs. Slowly bring the attention to the tummy and the back, the chest, the thighs, the knees, the shins and lower legs, arms, hands, head and feet. Just noticing how your body feels in this moment. And as we lay here in Shavasana, just take a moment to thank yourself for practicing today. You rolled out your yoga mat and you took the time to do some self-care. Move your body for you. If you would like to stay in Shavasana for longer, I encourage you to pause the video. Otherwise, I invite you to roll over onto your right side and gently press up to a seated position. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this class. Have a wonderful day and I hope to see you soon. Bye.